All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the October coach call. And this is where we reveal a bunch of new stuff for this season. Before we get started, just a reminder of our norms and working agreements. So we are going to pause before speaking, paraphrase what the other person said, pose questions, provide data, uh, put ideas on the table, but don't get on the table with them. Provide space for all voices and presume positive intentions. So all of those things would be fantastic for us to agree on before we get started. So let's go ahead and get into it. We have some important upcoming dates. So October 25th, woo, somebody got crazy with the pen. Go to the agenda that was shared in the email. You're not actually writing on the screen. So, all right, see if I can get rid of that. There we go. So, October 25th is the Grit event at Sherman Branch in Charlotte. November 1st is the deadline for Trailblazer and Student Leadership Council applications. That's when they close. The link to all of these things are there in blue. And then November 1st is the preseason in Smith Lake, and that's Fayetteville. So some of our Eastern North Carolina folks did not realize that Lake is in Fayetteville, but that is. So for Eastern North Carolina folks, that preseason event is the one that is closest to you. Then November 8th and 9th is Eastern Regionals in Maryland. And then November 22nd is the preseason event number 2 in Camp Greer in Old Fort. And then December 1st is when the season opens and regular practice can begin. Two notes on the preseason events. Head coaches, you will need to go in and opt in order for your student athletes to be able to see it in Pit Zone and register, and also for us to kind of share all of the information that's in TeamSnap. We kind of turn that on team by team as you sign up to say that you are coming. So please do that. It is in that flyer if you follow that link. So the big news for tonight, I think, is the dates and venues. So we have a 5 race schedule along with a state championship as a 6th race. So February 28th and March 1st, we're going to start off in Browns Creek in Elizabethtown. Then March 14th to March 15th, we'll be at Tryon Equestrian Center, which is in Mill Spring in Polk County. So a Western venue that is new for us this year. Then March 21st and 22nd is a rain date at Mayodan. Then March 28th and 29th is the regularly scheduled race at Mayodan. Then April 11th and 12th is Dark Mountain in Wilkesboro. We'll be back. Then when inevitably Dark Mountain gets canceled because of weather, we've got May 2nd and May 3rd as a rain. In April 25th and April 26th, we will be in Rock Hill for the Rock Hill BMX Center, which is a very cool venue and a new one for us as well. I attended a race that the South Carolina League put on there, and it's a very cool venue as well. And then May 9th and May 10th will be the state championships at Danville. There is a rain date for the state championships, May 16th and May 17th, still at English Park. So if we can't do it on the 9th and 10th, hopefully we'll be able to do it on the 17th. A couple of things for you to be aware of. We are going to do this as a best 3 out of 5 race series. That feels like it does the best to alleviate a lot of pressure to drive far distances to do races in order to be competitive in a 4 out of 5 race series. If we are, for some reason, canceled due to rain and miss the rain dates so that we're not able to have that 5th race, then the series will be a best 3 out of 4. So that's the one caveat to bear in mind. But hopefully we can pull it off like we did last season. And if we do trigger a rain date, that that rain date holds, and we're able to have all 5 of the series events plus the state championship. Any questions about the dates and the venues?
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
Hey, this is Todd, Fairville Dirt Grinders. We realized that's on Mother's Day weekend again,
Yes.
and that was intentional.
Yes. The feedback that we got was that a lot of the mothers enjoyed having that race. So that was one of the things that we kind of go back and forth on, and then we got positive feedback from doing it last season, so kept it for this season.
Okay, well, that feedback wasn't from everybody. We should probably poll the entire league and find out. So,
All right.
just my opinion.
Thank you. All right, Elise.
Has it been decided what the championship call-ups will be based like will it also be 3 out of 5 races?
So last year, I think we started out with it just being the race series, and we ended up with it being the actual race, the actual series finish with all of the drops, so that we were getting the kind of top uh, racers correctly placed. And so that's what we'll do this time. So it will be the way we did it last year.
So it was unclear last year when we came into that weekend, it was all 5 races, and people were under the assumption that it was 3 out of 5, like the series, and then it went down to 4 out of 5. So I just wanted us to all be clear from the get-go what it's going to be.
It's going to be 3 out of 5.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If we don't have a fifth, then it will be 3 out of 4. All right, Jeff and Diane LeBlanc.
Yeah, Sean, it's just a little late for this year, obviously, but we keep scheduling Dark Mountain, which we love, Dark Mountain, but you keep scheduling it before the 15th of April when the campground's open. So Warrior Creek is still closed, Bandits Roost is still closed. I mean, unless you can make arrangements to get one of them open, that kind of limits the camping possibilities for that area. But in future, we need to look at pushing Dark Mountain to the point where the campgrounds are open when we go out there. That's all.
Understood. This schedule was a lot of juggling and did not solidify until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. There were a lot of places that said that we could come on certain dates that then turned around, and whenever we did double check, they weren't available. So we've had to do some shuffling and work on some things. So doing our best, but thanks for that feedback. Ben Harbor.
Yeah, I got a couple questions on the new venues.
Okay.
Um, I know in years past the league has struggled to try to get the new venues online, certified, ready, Team Trail Core events, and then they cancel because of weather, because of the trails not ready, and all that other fun stuff. How are these two venues stacking up? Have we completed all that work? What is the details of each venue, mileage, maps, all that stuff? Is it published anywhere yet?
Not yet. So Rock Hill, like I said, South Carolina had a race there. So I was there all weekend with them. So not an issue with the venue and course and that sort of thing. Bryan Equestrian Center, we've been to twice now. It is a very large property, and there are existing backcountry horse trails there now, and we are going to utilize that and work with the owners to clean them up, which is not going to be an issue. It's a very huge operation with a ton of manpower and a ton of machinery. So they're very, very excited about having us, and they are looking forward to whatever we need. They're going to be providing. This is going to be a longer term relationship. They are actually wanting to build trails on site specifically for mountain bike. And they're specifically wanting to have a large, like regional championship event. That's one of the things they're very interested in working towards. So it's going to be a very fruitful relationship. And the infrastructure is amazing. There's tons of stuff there. Lots of lodging, restaurants on site. It's just a very big operation. So I don't have any reservations that that's not going to be something that we're do this season.
Is that a public venue that teams could go try out the trails before event weekends?
We will be discussing that with them. We've already talked about that with them, and they're kind of thinking through how they want to do that. But yes,
So right
that's
now,
the intent.
so right now, that one's not open to the public to ride.
Not per se. It's a little bit different. It's not like it's it's a sports venue, and we're sort of now they're expanding beyond equestrian, and so we're sort of like a step in a direction that they haven't really gone in before. But they are, like I said, we're going out there to do another venue survey, kind of nail down a course, and then start giving them a list of things that we want them to do to improve so that it'll be ready. And then whenever we get the go ahead from them that everything is good, then we'll start sharing information teams about going out there and pre-riding.
But people can also, they can go to Rock Hill and preview that course publicly, right?
Yes, that is publicly open course. Yep.
Okay.
All right, Abby Walker.
Hey, I'm curious if Rock Hill and Tryon have camping on site, or if we should.
So, very good question. So, Tryon actually does have RV hookups. They have large fields that will be able to do tent camping. They have a hotel on site. They have cabins on site. They have a like a motel right down the road. They have 5 restaurants on site. They have like live bands on Saturday nights. Like it's a big sort of entertainment complex. So it's gonna have all the amenities you need. And then Rock Hill has 40 RV hookups that you will get through them. And then there's tent camping on site as well that they'll charge us per tent, and we'll just have to collect those fees and then give it to them.
Okay, one more thing. I did call Bandits Roost maybe a day or 2 ago, and they basically said if somebody from the league called them, they'd consider opening earlier.
Okay, we can do that then.
If they could fill and I think they said maybe Warrior Creek too. So just something, since both of those campgrounds aren't open, I think I told them I thought we could fill them. So
yeah, I'll put that down on my list of things that I need to do with them.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, this is Brian. I'll take that down as an action.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
In the past, just for y'all's notes, when you take those notes and have those conversations, their biggest reservation of opening those campgrounds before they're due is the cleanup after the weekend and making sure it's back and ready to open the actual next weekend. So,
all right. Thank you for that.
mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions or feedback about the dates and the venues?
And Salisbury's not an option anymore?
No, it's still an option. The way the schedule was working out, we just couldn't quite make it work with what they had available and what we needed. So, and then we wanted to get these 2 new venues online since they're more Western. So, all right. Then the other new thing for this season is the Goose Chase. And so this is an app that your student athletes will download, and at events plus also some things during the season, there'll be different missions. So to kind of run you through it, the way that Goose Chase works is it considers things in what they call experiences. So there's 3 experiences, and the first experience is the main one. It's the one that we call the Trailhead, and it is built around all of those skills teaching your student athletes. And so with this one, you are actually kind of going along with that Fitz and Posner model that we talk about in the level training, where you're looking at the cognitive, the associative, and the autonomic or automatic stages of skills. And so we are kind of looking at it as a way to help you track the skills that student athletes are acquiring. All right. I had to get something out of the way that you all can't see. So the first part of it, that basic skill. So this is an example. So it would be like neutral and ready. The student athlete would either have you take a photo or have a friend take a photo while they demonstrated it. This is really intended as something they would be doing in that very formal skills training setup with the rectangular box and that sort of thing, where you're giving them the positive correction and feedback. And then the intermediate, so once they've accomplished that beginner trail with the neutral ready position, then it unlocks the intermediate level. And this would be more of that you're doing a short course and you have a certain section that they would be demonstrating the skill in. You might offer them some feedback, you might not, but it's a little more going from that that fixed style of practice with the box to something that's a bit more open and variable. And then the third level is more like you're out doing trail riding and a coach observes the student athlete just doing the skill without any feedback, positive correction, anything like that. Like they are just applying it the way they should be. And then this is basically just take a selfie with you, kind of giving a thumbs up, and they've gotten that skill. And this will help you kind of track where they're at and what they're doing. And we're going to work on how we share that with you. We're really not sure what sort of document we'll be able to get from the app so that we can share that with everyone. But we're working on that. We're kind of pushing this in a direction that it's not normally used for. So we're kind of running into things that we wanted to do that maybe weren't thought of whenever they were originally setting it up.
Sean, can you review those 3 slides there? Because what I'm seeing is advanced, intermediate, and beginner. Are those indications of trail difficulty we're supposed to take the students on?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Like I said, this is that fixed practice where you've got them in the skills. You know, you've got your box with your cones in the field and you're just running them through it. And then the intermediate is you would be doing a short course. So you would have your short course set up and you would be observing them and maybe giving them some feedback, but it's more variable. So fixed, you're just going, okay, we're going to practice neutral and ready. And then variable in the course setting, you've got where they would need to be doing neutral and ready, but you're not saying, you know, at this point you do neutral and ready position. And then in the advanced trail, you're basically just out on a trail and you're observing them do it and apply it automatically.
Thank you.
The second experience is the bonus trails. And these are more event specific or also kind of season wide. So the first one, we got some financial assistance from Timberbell. If you're not familiar with Timberbells, they are a bell that you mount on your handlebars that turn off and on. So you don't have to ring a bell to let someone know that you're coming behind them. You just turn it on whenever you start a descent, and it just gently rings the entire time as you're riding. And it gives people lots of warning that there's someone coming down the trail. It kind of facilitates really positive interactions with other trail users. And that's their mission, is to sort of like make it so that lots of different trail users on multi-use trails have very positive interactions with each other. And so we asked them to help us with financial support of Goose Chase, and they were completely down for it. We created 2 missions for them. One is High Five a Hiker. So you're out on a ride with your student athletes. You encounter another trail user who's a hiker. you have a positive interaction, just take a selfie of you hiker. And then the other one is high five a horseback rider, not high five a horse, but actually high five a horseback rider. So just basically like another positive trail interaction with a horseback rider, so that we're fostering that mutual respect on the trails. That's going to run all season, and then event specific are things like what we've got set up for the Smith Lake preseason event. So Smith Lake has red woodpeckers, and so one of the missions is to find a nesting tree for a red-cockaded woodpecker. They're pretty obvious and they are out on the trail, so you do encounter them. So it's one of the things that they can collect along with a bunch of other stuff that we've got set up for it. And that is intended to just get more engagement with things on these preseason events. And then also some things that we'll have set up for all of our other events as well. So there's something for even people who are coming but not racing, there will still be stuff for them to do. And then the last one is the pump track. So the pump track is designed specifically for non-NICA age student or non-NICA age kids that are less than fifth grade. So we recognize there's lots of families bringing lots of kids, and not all of the kids can participate in NICA. So we're going to be designing some of these experiences and missions just for those kids. The big thing to keep in mind with all of this is we have to actually pay by the number of people that are in the experience. So coaches are not supposed to be a part of this. You're not going in there because you'll be taking a space from a kid. There's a limited number of spaces for all of these experiences. So we want to make sure that we maximize that. And then for the pump track, if you have a family with multiple little kids, then just having the parent be the only one that has the account and just posts for all of the kids under that one account will help make space for all of them. All right, I see from Nathan, question?
Yeah, I know for a fact we've got a couple kids that do not have phones.
Okay, and we anticipate that, and that's not an issue. So all of this is going to be available on the web as well, and we'll have things open. Like if it's an event-specific one, we'll open it up the day before the event, and we'll leave it open a couple of days after the event so that they can have time to go home and load things up on their computer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we tried to make it so that it would be very equitable for everyone, whether or not they have a phone. All right, other questions about Goose Chase?
I'll just add that to make sure it's accessible for everyone, our plan is to also create a sign at each place where there is missions. So like the adventure area, the teen trail court area, grit area, that lists the missions for that weekend so they can see them at the event as well.
Sydney, I see you have your hand up.
Hey, does this Goose Chase app take the place of the Adventure Passport?
Yes. It is similar in concept and easier for everyone. So coaches aren't having to email anything in because they're just uploading stuff and going from there.
Okay, but you said that some of them require you to take a picture. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you don't have a phone to take
So
the
having
picture.
someone else take a picture like a parent. So just however you go about having the picture taken.
Okay. Okay.
So if like another teammate wants to take a picture, they can do that and share the picture. However you get the picture is fine.
If you have trouble getting kids this age off their phones, I'm not sure I can square the circle that we're incorporating phones into biking.
Okay. We're going to try it this season, and if If it is not something that is successful or something that we feel is going to be a problem, then we can revisit that. Yes, Abby.
This is by choice.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we
100%.
don't have to do it.
Nope, it's by choice.
Okay.
All right, other feedback? Yes, Chris.
So I don't want to spin out too much on this, but trying to brainstorm a little bit about, and I'll just throw it out there, about the idea of having to take the picture. I know we talked a little bit about this past weekend, but having to take the picture versus, not having a phone versus not preferring to encourage the use of the phone while riding bikes or whatever the case. Could we consider there being a possibility of a way to make an entry that does not necessarily require proof of the picture, but yet confirmation by a coach or an adult that it happened? If that makes sense, could there be some way to do that would, I don't know, just throwing that out there. I don't know.
We talked about this at the league summit, and that this is all just for fun. This is like, people have been asking for more opportunities for the littles, more opportunities for kids to interact that aren't racing. And this is our way of doing this without making it a huge lift for all of the volunteers who are already maxed out. So this could be as simple as, like, you could take a picture at home with a thumbs up that they did it. Or it doesn't even have to be a picture. Sometimes it can just be like you type in, we did this. So it's really doesn't have to be over complicated. It's just offering something additional, so there's something for them to do and engage, and feel like they're included in the weekends. So.
Great, that's helpful. I think that's helpful for all the others that weren't there to hear that, because I'm sure there's multiple ideas and thoughts and questions about how to pull this off, but that's helpful. Thanks, Shel.
I think it'll also be, once you actually see it, like, kind of in the student's hands, you'll kind of see what's going on. So it's a lot easier once you see it. And we got this idea from the Texas League. They presented this at the National Summit, and it was very successful for them. They had a lot of engagement and interaction with their student athletes. All right. Other questions about Goose Chase? All right. Last but not least, I have some reminders for team directors. Whenever I send out my emails about call reminders, I pull the list of coaches from Pit Zone and then send the email reminders to all the coaches that are on that list. And inevitably, I get multiple emails back from the list. So that's something that team directors, you need to deactivate coaches who aren't participating this season with your team, and that will prevent them from getting a lot of communications from the league. And then make sure that you're checking those coach license level status in advance of any team activities, especially preseason activities. Coaches at level 0, if they have a red exclamation point or they have an incomplete registration, they can't participate in activities involving student athletes. And remember that waivers are for student athletes and adults that have never been involved with NICA. So if someone was a coach last year, they can't show up and go, oh, I just want to participate on a waiver this year. They have to be a registered coach. All right. Jeff and Diane.
Hey, Sean. So
Hey.
I know this isn't on your agenda, but I just wanted to remind all the coaches and team directors of a few things. First of all, if you have student athletes that are attending regionals, please make sure that the parents register them in Pit Zone. Just because they register them for the race and for regionals does not mean that they are race ready. The student athletes have to be race ready. to participate in the regionals. Also for coaches, if you have coaches that are planning on going to regionals and they have signed up as a coach, they have to make sure that their coach certification is complete. I am checking all those probably every other day just to see where we are with those, because I get an email from Sean Pancherel, who is the registrar for regionals. Last thing, if you coaches and team directors, if you have parents that are having some issues with registering their students, we seem to be having some issues this year because of the pit zone option. Please ask your parents to reach out to me via email. I check my emails every day, trying to stay on top of this and get issues resolved as soon as possible. That's all, Sean. That's all I got.
Awesome. Jim, I see that you have your hand up.
Yeah, I assume that it's the same rules for regionals as before. You don't have to have coaches or head coaches there for kids going. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, Sharif.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about this pump track? I think it's a fantastic idea. I love it, but I would like to know a little bit more about it.
So we haven't developed any of the missions for it yet, but they're just going to be little things that the kids that are not NICA age can do at an event just to help keep them engaged in kind of the league and that sort of thing, so that they don't feel like they're being drugged to something that they can't really participate at all in. So we're going to be developing those things. We're not 100% on all the things that we're going to do, but we've got some ideas, and so we'll be kind of rolling those out in advance of the event so that everybody can see what's going on. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it's a fantastic idea to include
Awesome.
the little ones.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah,
Thanks.
definitely. Ben Harbor.
Yeah, question on the kind of on the registration side. With us paying for an all-in fee for the season and not having to pay for each event, how has the league come up with ideas or how are you doing call-ups for
Yes.
each venue?
Yes. So there will be no event registration. So you are kind of assumed to be coming, basically. And then we will be doing call-ups, kind of like 100% call-ups. So we'll be calling up based on overall standings from last season and how that places you in the field. And then if you are new, then you will be getting the call-up based on your plate number. So we'll just be calling plate number. All call-ups will be done by plate number and not by name, because we will have a lot of plate numbers to get through. We'll have a lot of student athletes to get through if we're doing 100% call-ups. So we'll be calling plate numbers. So my suggestion to you is to go ahead and think about having a piece of painter's tape or something like that with a Sharpie that you'll be able to put on a kid's bars and put their number on, so that you can remind them with something that they can see of what their plate number is, so that whenever we call, they'll be able to go right up.
So last year we had 900 students. Are we going to call 900 students every single event weekend on Sunday?
We'll be calling all of those plate numbers. Yep.
Okay.
All right, Sydney.
Yeah, regarding, I mean, I can see where that might shorten the amount of time you spend calling things out. But I will say, from a team culture perspective, when we have other teammates show up at the beginning of the race to cheer their teammates on for call-ups, it's going to complicate it a lot when they're not actually hearing their teammates' names called out.
Understand. We are looking for the best ways to do this, and we have been talking with NICA National about what other leagues are doing, and larger leagues are calling out plate numbers rather than names. And so we're going to try that this season, and we'll go from there.
How much time is that going to add to each Sunday call up? If we
It
looked at that,
shouldn't really add any, like, it should be a little bit quicker because we're not calling out names. So it'll be a little bit more rolling and we'll be able to go through it. But it will require your student athletes to really pay attention, make sure that whenever their number is called, they come up.
Would we still call the names of the students that are graduating, the seniors? Will that still be in place?
I'm not sure what race we did that. Did we do one where we had senior recognition?
It was like the end of the season, kind of like,
Yeah.
the seniors that won't be returning.
Yeah,
they're
so
graduating.
we should still be able to do that, yes. All right. Other feedback.
Was there some sort of were we given any chance to like chime in on this? It seems so impersonal.
No, we are trying to make this as seamless as possible, and we are trying to not have to require race registration. If we're going to call names, we would have to require race registration. And I want to lower the barrier for student athletes to come, because if I create friction in the system, then that discourages someone to come. But if we eliminate this and everybody can come, then we assume that everybody will. So that's what we're going to try at this point. We've looked at what other leagues our size or bigger have been doing, and this is what they're doing. And so that's sort of the model that we're going to try and follow. Yes, Greg. Greg, you might want to unmute yourself.
You guys we could consider maybe leaving registration open all the way till Saturday or something, or maybe
no, because then we can't generate the list.
You can't. Why couldn't, I mean, a lot of race venues keep registration open all the way till the minutes before the race starts. So I don't know. I don't understand how you couldn't generate. But
that's not how our system works. So we don't have that kind of last minute ability to generate kind of the call up list and things like that. So, Jim.
Just gonna say, I mean, I don't know how many kids are gonna miss their call up each race with this, and I imagine you're gonna have some kids getting fed in at the end because they missed it and be in the wrong field. I think this is gonna cause a lot more confusion than it saves in time.
Understood. And that's why I'm saying now, like, go ahead and be thinking about having tape so that you can write their plate numbers down on their bars. So they'll have that right in front. I think it's just a change that we'll get used to.
I do feel like it's a cultural shift. Like, even taking the chat away on these calls feels very cold and distant. Like the beginning of last season, my first year, versus right now, I don't feel like there's much love going on. It just feels like I'm watching a thing. And last year I liked the chat. I like watching the interaction. I'm not digging any of this stuff right now. Like, it's just, it feels off. I felt off even at the thing this past weekend. So I'm just throwing it out there and look at the response. The only emojis that people can throw out here because we're kind of silenced up, and it feels awful. This doesn't feel good. It feels like a really off season.
All right. I'm sorry that you feel that way. All right. Other feedback? Yes, Joshua.
I'm going to go ahead and second that. I'm kind of like guessing my decision to become the head coach of our team because this doesn't sound, kids like to hear their name. They like to know what position they're going to start in. It's important to them. It's one of the most important things of race weekend. Additionally, having the chat shut off makes us feel like we're children. This is supposed to be a community. We're supposed to be a racing community, not just, North Carolina NICA. Just, I know you're in charge. I know this is your league, but
I'm not in
without
charge.
our teams, you don't have anything.
I am not the league director. I am not in charge. So I am serving as the director of coach and team development.
Don, you were the director up until like 2 weeks ago. So that's kind of.
Hold on. I've never been the league director.
I'm sorry. I'm out of line with that. I'm out of line with that.
I'm not in charge of this. And so I'm going to step back because a lot of things get portrayed as they are decisions of mine. And so let's just step back a little bit. Let's take a deep breath. All right. Sydney.
Well, it seems like we should hear from who made these decisions.
So I am the race director for this season. I am leading the race committee. We have been discussing this in the race committee. We have been trying to come up with the things that are going to make our process as streamlined as possible so that we're not taking as long as race days have been going. We've been consulting with NICA National and getting their feedback on things that we've been doing in the past and ways that we can streamline that. And those are the things that we are looking to implement, is the things that have been shared from other leagues. And so that's what we're looking to do.
Do you feel like these things, I hear you saying that they're going to streamline the race weekend process. Do you feel like these things are going to encourage more kids to ride bikes and participate in NICA?
That is my hope, yes. Always, with everything that we do.
I would like the league to reconsider number call-ups versus named call-ups. Seems very impersonal to the students.
Can we also turn the chat back on?
No. We're having a good, productive conversation now. This is much better. So I am all ears and open for everything that you have to say.
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
Some you said, some of the other leagues, and we're kind of adopting some ideas. North Carolina has always stood out. We've always led the way. We usually get it right. We stick together, we get it done. Following suit of other leagues, yeah, they might have some good ideas. I mean, we got the best trails around. I mean, this is North Carolina. We need to continue leading the way and not necessarily adopting other ideas that I don't know may or may not work. But this is tough to swallow. I agree with what was that, Greg, that was speaking earlier?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've been doing this. This is my 9th year. Been on staff for a long time. Was a race director. There's some really hard things to swallow right now. So
Okay. So we are having a race committee meeting tomorrow, and we will be meeting with Sean Pantelier from Nikon National. And so I will discuss all of this with him tomorrow and get guidance from what he has been seeing around the country and kind of talking with him through the things that you all are saying so that we can, revisit this and rethink the plan. Sydney.
I missed last month's call because I was out of the country, but I feel like I heard a lot of these same things said when I watched the recording after the fact. And so I gotta say, it feels a little disingenuous to say now we'll go back and revisit if some of this feedback has been ongoing.
This is the first that we've talked about call-up procedures or anything like that. So this is the first feedback that we've gotten on that. Adam.
I have a couple parents talking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. If their kids go to the regional, the Eastern regionals, will that help their placement in call up as the season starts from points?
No. Okay. No, it is separate. Yep.
It's a sole race.
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Ben Harbor.
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to see y'all take to national and ask about is, I hear we're supposed to build a community. We're supposed to get engaged with our team. We're supposed to develop relationships. It really burdens me to know that I've got to now tell my students, you don't have a name anymore on the weekends. You're just a number. I work for too many employers that you're just a number and they don't care. They'll replace you later. I think we're losing some personality when we don't call the students by name. So I'd like that feedback to be passed up. If it works, I will say great job doing it. I don't see it now, but we'll have to see how it works if we go forward with this.
Ben, I hear your concerns, but I would also state that if you're telling your student athletes you don't have a name, you're nothing but a number to this league, that says a lot about you as a coach. But I do hear your concerns, but it's also comes down to how you as a coach conduct yourself as an adult, as a role model to children.
Yeah.
We're not going to have to say it. They're going to hear it.
I'm just talking to the fact that Ben said, if I tell my student athletes they no longer have a name, they're nothing but a number. If someone chooses to tell a student athlete that, that's their choice and how they choose to portray that. But I'm not saying I don't hear your concerns. I'm just saying you also have choices as well.
All right, Adam. Ben.
Oh, I'm good. I'll just lower my hand.
Greg.
Yeah, I mean, as Ben said, I think he's going to get the job done just fine. But I think we're seeing what I see it's going to do, and what I think Ben's trying to say is that the culture shift is feeling kind of large. I think, and I don't know if I can capture all of it in just a few words, but as a whole, the chat with him that ended at the end of last year, which I don't understand what happened. I guess I missed it. I think it went over my head, but what it feels like is what I see and hear my middle school daughter come home, and when they discipline these days at school, it's not like there could be one person that does something wrong and yet they punish the entire class. Everyone gets silent lunch. Everyone gets they now line kids up in a row. I just feel like we're leaning more towards like mass punishment. If someone did something wrong in this group, whoever it was. I don't know what it was, but I think that those folks maybe just need to be called out and not punish everybody, because there's a lot of good chat that happens when things are being said on most peer-to-peer calls. And I do a lot of different business coaching and a lot of different other things. There's a majority of content going on in the chat that is very valuable. So unless you can recap now what happened on that call, whatever the call was, I don't know if the whole group even here knows what happened that turned the chat off. And it kind of frustrates me. So, I mean, the fact that you guys are just saying no, I just don't understand it. So it's a cultural thing. And if we don't have any culture here, I'm telling you, it felt weird. Like there's a lack of culture going on right now in this whole group. So if we can't pull it together, I think this whole season is going to be a downward. You know, you guys want to have a growth and expansion, it's going to be a reverse. So
I hear you. Nathan? Ann?
I just wanted to speak to a couple things real quick. Sorry.
Yes.
The chat being turned off, I don't see as a problem. Everybody is having their time to talk and being given the time to talk. Everyone is on the Zoom call and can hear everyone talk. I also think there's too much emphasis on y'all worrying about the numbers. The students are still going to be standing with their team as their number gets called and cheering them on as they go up to the line. I don't see why everyone's trying to make a big deal about that.
All right. Ann?
Hi, so I'm new to this role as a team director, and in the 5 years previous, I was just the parent that showed up and magically everything went on. Now I'm unforeseen circumstances in a management role, so I appreciate everything you do. I'm on board with whatever goes on. However, as a parent that sometimes drives 4 or 5 hours to get to a race, spends 10 hours, until sleeping, money at a hotel, another 7 hours the next day at a race. It's really nice to hear a kid's name. I'm just speaking for the parents that show up. I don't know how much longer it takes if you all have run that kind of number game to see if it would take 5 more minutes at a call up or 30 more minutes. That's the part I don't know, but just something to consider.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Todd?
Yes. So with our team, usually when the name gets called, we all shout that name out and scream it to high heaven. From what I understand, there's nothing keeping us for when our kid's number is called to then blurt out their name and shout it out and give them all the praise in the world. And to me, it seems like it kind of falls on us coaches that we need to make sure that we know, hey, when is our kids being called up, what their number is, and making sure that they're paying attention to it. And then when that number gets called, then we as a team then blurt out that name and shout it out to the sky. And then the kids get their recognition and we keep moving on.
All right. Aaron?
Hey, y'all. Thank you. I would agree. I do agree about the names. And I guess I just don't understand because I don't feel like there's any time that the kids are not racing. Like, I feel like there's a long time that they can be in call-ups. But I don't feel like this is making a race day shorter. Like, and if you could elaborate on that, that would be great. Because I just don't feel like we're not waiting for races to start because of the call-ups. But thank you. I know you guys are working hard, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, so we're looking at the wave schedules and everything, trying to figure out where we can save time so that we're not, having that final race finish at like 3 o'clock, and then we're got to do tear down, and then next thing you know, it's like 4:30, and we're having to do ceremony, do awards, and then everybody's kind of rolling out. So that's the things that we're looking at right now. And remember, we're still in preseason. So we are looking at lots of different things and just trying to think all this through. And that's what the race committee is looking at. So we're kind of tasked with trying to figure all of this stuff out well before we get to the race season. But remember, race season doesn't start till the end of February. So Gary Baum.
Hey, Sean, sorry about that.
No problem.
Little delay. Okay. I am in agreement with a lot of the thought of just streamlining, and I'll backtrack by saying my hat is off to you and everybody else that organizes the events. I volunteer, but I feel like I'm a little cog in the big wheel, and we have a great community. I feel a lot of changes afoot, and the whole uproar of dividing the league that happened this year, it was sprung upon myself. Perhaps I'm speaking for the league. So there's a big uproar, and it's like, oh my gosh. And same thing with, growing the league. Does it have to grow for growth's sake? And changing names to numbers, we'll see how that plays out. My number in high school is 6193, and that's like 4 decades ago. So, so we'll see how it plays out. But I do feel people, I don't know if there's a better way to suggest, and I'm sorry, I don't have my full thoughts, but a better way to suggest changes, because people, for myself, I don't want to say people, I don't want to speak for anybody, but big change like divide the league, big change like everybody signed up for races, big change for it's going to be only numbers. And if people start yelling names, you're not going to hear the numbers being called. I think that's going to be a conflict. And then if kid misses their number, like as somebody else said, they're going to get bumped to the back of the starting line. So something to consider and to talk further, in addition to the racing committee, to some of the coaches. And I want to just say one more thing about how wonderful our league has been. It's been grown to a certain size, and it's been a lot of love. And maybe now, because I'm in the semi-management, like, it's harder. But I feel like the dynamic is changing a little bit, as somebody said. So I just want to put that out there. That's kind of my thought.
All right.
A lot I said. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jim.
So, I mean, you just said that the reason you're doing this is to shorten the race day, and call-ups have no impact on the length of the race day. So when we had talked about this earlier, it's kind of a difference between, are you going to call up every single kid in a category if there's 150 kids and only 50 show up? And that means you need call-ups to be 15 minutes long instead of 10 minutes long. I think you've heard a lot of opinions tonight that say, I think we'd rather have 15 minutes of call-ups and call out people's names than have 10 minutes of call-ups where you're listing out numbers. Gary just raised the great point. So you say, hey, there's no reason you can't cheer when number 855 gets called up. But then when during that cheering 873 gets called up, they don't hear it, then they miss their call up. So, I mean, and thinking about logistically what this is going to be for coaches, instead of showing up at the start shoot with a single page of paper with all of my kids on it, I now need every single race with my kid highlighted on it. So I need to show up with 16 pages of paper with my kids highlighted with every single kid on it so that I make sure that a kid doesn't get missed. There is no
Okay.
reason to do it this way. I get it that maybe, Texas does it this way. Fine. I think you've heard that we like hearing our kids' names called. We like hearing the team name called after the kid, and we like cheering for the kid. So the priority may be call the kid, call the team, and if that means we have to have a longer call-up period, fine.
All right. Thank you. All right. Any other feedback?
I have an idea. I haven't totally thought through this, but I'm wondering to streamline the process. And I know it probably wouldn't be totally working, but if you had a list of all the writers' names and coaches, on Saturday could go and cross off the names of writers that were not going to be there for the weekend,
Okay.
then, it could limit the number of names for the racers on Sunday. And I'm sure that has a whole can of worms of what could go wrong, but I was just trying to think outside the box of a way to do it with the names since we're not registering for the races.
Okay.
And if you put it on the coaches and, if you didn't cross off the name gets called, but if you can remember, if you do it, then it could limit the number of names that are getting called that aren't there.
Okay. That's a good idea. I like
Great
that.
idea.
All right. Sydney?
I was curious how many teams we have in our league.
I haven't got a latest number, but it's over 50, I think.
Okay, because I checked out of curiosity, and Texas has conferences, and one of the leagues has like 13 teams, and the other one has like 24. So is it feasible? Is it like reasonable to think maybe it works for them because they don't have as many names to call out?
Works for them to call out numbers instead of names because they don't have as many names to call out.
I mean, that your reference point was that it works for Texas.
I said Texas is one of them, but like Utah and places like that, like the bigger leagues, they all are doing just calling up by number. So that seems to be a more standard practice than calling out by name. All right. I see Todd, Abby, and Jim both all have their hands up. Did you want to speak?
I'll just say on Abby's point, our team snap hit rate is about 75%. We, at least with registration, we knew who was going to a race. We have about 25% of our kids that never sign up for team snap and show up all the time for practice. So I don't know how effective that'll be.
Yeah, but it's a good starting point. All right. Greg?
So the other sport venues that some of us, and I'm sure that Abby and I know races a lot and there's others out here. I don't know everyone on the coach side here, but I still don't understand how other venues pull off up to the last minute result, the signups. I mean, registration that can go all the way. Charlotte Short Track does them up to the like 15 minutes before each race starts at periodic race times of the day. And I've seen you guys print pages on the fly, so I don't feel like there's any chance that something couldn't be printed out for same day call ups on the Saturday, close signups, and create the list. We're only talking.
I will lean on Jim to correct me if I'm incorrect in what I'm saying, but the fields have to be built in the race management system. And so if someone were to like last minute register for the race, like 15 minutes before the race, and they were supposed to be called up on the front row, then that requires a lot of juggling inside the system that can't really be done on the fly like that. So has to do with the race management software and how that stuff works. So that's why we would be generating call-up lists on Friday and cutting off registration on Thursday so that that stuff could be built and be ready to go for the race.
Maybe there's a better software to use then. That might mitigate all this. I mean, there's tons of what's the name of the thing there, Abby, that most cyclocross races go on, Race Reg or whatever the name is. I mean, there's tons of companies that take registration. So
well, that's registration. I'm talking about the actual race management software that does timing and all of that. That's the constraint that we're looking at.
Okay.
It's not the registration, it's the race management.
Okay.
Web
Right.
score.
Abby, did you have something you wanted to?
I was just answering him. It's called Web Score.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Jim?
Yeah, so the weird thing with our league is the fields. So that's the thing that needs to be set during the week. It's really difficult to do that day of race because you'll have kids start, it's basically you're running 2 time trials and merging them together for the middle school boys mostly and the JV2 boys that have 2 fields and then need to be merged together. So that's the reason why it's difficult to do it day of.
Well, I mean, if we did our call-ups based on Thursday, you say, if you want a call-up, then register by Thursday. If you want to be on the back of the list, I mean, that'll still keep your guys' day consolidated to whoever's actually registered and leave registration open. I mean, I understand trying to skip a step of like managing a registration process, but I don't know. I just can't see calling out, like everyone keeps saying, like 150 numbers. Just randomly like waiting, like, okay, is 1110 here? No,
it won't be like that. It will just be calling numbers and they'll be walking up, and if they're not walking up, then they're not there. So it's a little different than, I think, calling a number and waiting and that sort of thing. So
yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, this is a fantastic example of why I prefer not having the chat on. And you all chimed in and spoke, and it was a good, productive conversation. And I think you all shared great ideas. Like I said, I am going to be taking this and talking with Sean Pantelier about this tomorrow on the race committee call. And Abby, thank you for coming up with an idea that potentially could be kind of the thing that helps us kind of navigate, still do all the things that we're trying to do. Lower friction to entry so that anybody who shows up is a part of the event, and also recognize everyone, as you all have stated, being very important. Ben.
Yeah, hi, Sean. Thank you for the weekend. But is there any way to get some type of digital board that shows the number that was called, the number that is being called, and the number that will be called, so that we don't have to rely just on audio?
Ooh, that's a fantastic question. Yeah, that is definitely something to look into for sure. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Thank you for that, Ben. Like a now serving, next in line. All right. Anything from anyone else?
Can y'all hear me, Sean?
Yes.
So I was just wondering, in this meeting, just the structure, I'm not extremely attached to the outcome of some of these decisions, but I do want to know the structure, that if we're voicing our opinion, what happens next? Like, do we have voice in this, or has this decision already been made and we're just voicing our opinion and, you're taking it into consideration, but the decision has already been made? That's what I'm feeling right now. So
No, we're in October. The first race is the end of February. Whenever I tell you your feedback is being considered and will be taken to the race committee and will be discussed, that is not shining you on, and that is not telling you something to make you go away and be quiet. That is honestly what I do. So I take your feedback and I take that back and start talking about how do we incorporate all of these things and still accomplish the things that we're trying to accomplish. So if The idea is that somehow I'm just giving you lip service. That is not at all how I've ever operated. So I've always taken things back, discussed that, and then we work.
Okay.
The purpose of the purpose of these calls is to share decisions with you, get your feedback, so that this was a perfect example of this. If all of these were dropped in the chat and just spiraled into a rabbit hole of complaints in the chat, we wouldn't even be aware of 3/4 of it. And it just seemed to be an opportunity for dissent to just escalate instead of have a productive conversation like this, which I know having hard decisions because everybody's really passionate and everybody really cares, which is great, and which is why it's fantastic to have all you on these calls and hear your feedback, but so that we can consider it and we're sharing it with you so we can get your feedback and continue to make sure we're making great choices. But you all have provided several really great suggestions of things to consider if we want to continue with implementing that, or ways to make it better if we do implement that. So I think having you all voice your opinion instead of things getting dropped in the chat and just disappearing in a flood of messages or sarcasm or negativity is far more productive. Even if they're hard decisions or hard discussions to have, it's all coming from a place of everybody's really passionate and wants the best for their student athletes. So we're never just dropping your feedback you're giving us into like the void. It's definitely considered, and I think you've all given us quite a few great tips on things to consider in favor of it or not, that Sean can take to the race committee and discuss and bring back to you and see what they got.
Well, I think something for the future too is like minutes from a meeting, so we know what actions are being taken from this, rather than just like, I'm not sure which ones y'all are taking to think on. I don't know, like, because we don't have minutes from meetings. We're just like looking at an agenda. So anyways, just something to consider so we know what actions are being taken, good or bad or whatever.
All right. So what I'll do is make sure that these points are addressed on the next coaches call, and we'll discuss them then. Other feedback? Yes, Adam.
All right, sorry to pull a 180 on you. But we are a new team. Could you just go into the Eastern Regionals real quick on what to expect there? I got a couple high school kids that want to go, and they're asking me actually as we are on this call a bunch of questions about what to expect there.
So I've never been there, so I will defer to Shell because she has experience.
And I will say I have been there and was tied to the Teen Trail Quartet 100% of the time I was there. But I will say what I'm going to do is create a Team Snap team where I'll add everyone who's registered for regionals to that. And it'll create a platform where folks can ask questions and communicate, because there'll be a lot of folks who have already been there and give you a lot of good feedback.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much for a good coach call, and I look forward to talking with all of you next month. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always email myself, Sean at northcarolinamtb.org, or Shell at northcarolinamtb.org, and we'll be happy to get back to you as quickly as possible. Thank you and have a good night.